Our tips are back course to talk about some Final Fantasy VII. We are here to talk about Ever Crisis. We got a bit of an update on the game. It's an update that we've had before when it comes to Ever Crisis, literally exactly like a year ago. Because it's like a financial report that we got from CyberAgent where the president's talking about Ever Crisis and that it should be releasing soon. I do think that compared to like last year when we got this like similar announcement, it makes a little more sense now that it might actually drop relatively soon just because we've actually had the closed beta now. I don't know if they're going to do any sort of like another beta test at any point, maybe for like people that have actually like pre-registered for the game or any sort of like open beta, public beta, whatever. No idea if that's going to happen. They might have just done the closed beta and then they're just going to drop the game eventually. I don't know. I've never really paid attention to how like mobile games do shit. Like I've pre-registered here and there for mobile games, but I've never paid attention to like betas and closed betas and how they do that shit. So I just have no idea what they're going to do with this game. So this comes from, they did like a live stream again for our financial report, which we've looked at one of these not too long ago within the last handful of months or so. Luckily, similar to the last one we looked at, there's like a woman who's doing like English like translation over the live stream, which is pretty nice. That way we can like understand it because there's not like subtitles or anything like that. So we're just gonna play the clip where they talk about Ever Crisis. It's very brief.
Going forward as well, and this fiscal year, will be releasing highly anticipated titles. One is Final Fantasy, and we finished the closed beta test already, and it will be released quite soon.
Kind of it. It's just the president of CyberAgent saying that like Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis is going to release relatively soon. One thing that bothers me, and this is I've seen this a few times throughout like the several years now that I've been covering like remake and FF7 stuff, is just when people are talking about like Final Fantasy VII or remake or rebirth or Ever Crisis, whatever, they just refer to it as Final Fantasy. Like that just, I don't know why that bothers me, but it does. But it's like this is the president of CyberAgent who's trying to hype up this like pretty highly anticipated mobile game, and he's not calling it by its name. Because I'm assuming it's him that's calling it Final Fantasy because she's just translating what he's saying, right? So I assume it's just him calling Ever Crisis Final Fantasy. I don't know why it bothers me, but it does. It's like, just call it by its actual name, right? If you're trying to market the game and advertise the game. Especially considering that this is like a financial report thing or whatever, so you're doing this for like your investors and shit. You're not even like referring to the game by its actual name. Anyways, whatever. Anyways, we've had a similar update like this for Ever Crisis like last year, and it's actually more than a year ago. I went back to look at our video where we talked about Ever Crisis should have released by like last September, according to the CyberAgent president back then, right? But that video I did was like in May. It was May of last year. So it's actually been more than a year since we've had a similar update for the game. But also if you go to like the financial report thing that they have on screen whenever she's translating him, it says that Ever Crisis should release by the end of the year, which is very different from fiscal year. Because again, CyberAgent's fiscal year ends in September, right? That's why the September thing has been a discussion for a while, because last year he was saying that it would release within the fiscal year. So by September, obviously that didn't happen. We're hearing that now from her, but then the on-screen thing is saying by the end of the year. So it's like, now what are we waiting on? Are we waiting on a September release date potentially at the latest, or are we looking towards, potentially December? Like, I don't know what the fuck to believe. Actually, I decided to look into it again just for the sake of clarity, just to make sure. And yeah, like looking at like older financial reports from last year, like it was saying that they had like a report for the fiscal year ending in September 2022. But what they're claiming now when you look at these financial reports is that September 2023 is the third quarter of their fiscal year. So I don't know if they like changed that shit to where like now January is the beginning and like December's the end of the fiscal year or something now. I don't know what's happening. So that might explain why she's saying within the fiscal year and then on screen saying by the end of the year, because they're maybe kind of the same thing now or something. I don't know. Who knows? So apparently Ever Crisis is coming out eventually. That's our update. I will say, though, that according to the App Store, the game is supposed to drop by September 30th of this year, which would be the end of either the third quarter of their fiscal year or the end of their actual fiscal year. Again, I don't know what the hell's happening, but we have at least a release window according to the App Store. And if we were to go back to what she actually said in the video, she did say that the game was coming out quite soon. So I would assume that points more towards like the September release window because, as late as December wouldn't be quite soon. That's still like half a year or so away, right? That's more or less it, right? We're just kind of waiting on this game. Like, I feel like I've been hyping it for myself more than I probably should because it is just a mobile retelling gotcha game of FF7, and it's not even giving us the full FF7 shit as we talked about recently, where they're kind of cutting corners with like the the reactor platefall stuff that we talked about recently. And apparently, from people that have actually played the closed beta and shit, like there's a lot of corners. Like I think like the Abzu boss fight from the OG FF7, like that's all skipped if I'm not mistaken. Like we don't drop down there and fight him. I'm not sure about Trying Graveyard. But, like, apparently we don't even fight apps in, like, Ever Crisis. So there's shit that's, like, cut out and taken out of the original FF7. So, like, there's part of me that, like, that kind of brought the hype down just a bit. But I still just need some FF7 in my fucking life. I don't care. I'm looking forward to this game. I just hope it comes out relatively soon. I don't know. Anyways, that's pretty much the video. That's the update. Ever Crisis is coming out quite soon, apparently, which we all kind of assumed it would be coming out sometime not too long after the closed beta. Hopefully we get like a release update. I assume we'll maybe get like a final trailer that would have a release date on it or something, and maybe that'll come out relatively quite soon as well or something. I don't fucking know, dude. I don't know what's happening. Is this game even real? We've had a lot of trailers, a lot of gameplay. We even have a closed beta for this game, but I still gotta ask the question: is Ever Crisis even real? Anyways, that's the video. Subscribe to if you guys are new. Social networks in the description below. Follow me on Twitter, @DaveYT. That's it. Bye.
Used to care what people thought, but now I care more. And nobody out here's got it figured out. So therefore, I've lost all hope of a happy ending, depending on whether or not it's worth it. So insecure, no one's perfect. We spend it with no shame. We blow that like Coltrane. We in here like low